I have a question, and it feels like probably not a super fun question.
I don't mind. It's an unfun question.
Yeah.
Yeah, you.
And it's interesting because it's not so much. I mean, it must be a question that I asked because it came to mind, but I feel like it's really a contemporary question that has got to be really hard. Like, obviously you are perceived as a white man in this culture.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure you've experienced pushback on your level of engagement with, shamans around the world and native cultures. Like, how do you speak to that as an aware being?
Yeah. I think that's a great question, and I think that question should come up over and over again, because especially as more and more white people lean into native ways, that answer better be a good one.
Yeah.
And so, the way I go at it right away is that one of my native teachers was a guy named Leon Secatero, Navajo, Apache, Hopi, from that land I was speaking about earlier, the beautiful, incredible, enchanted Four Corners area of the Southwest. And, he said he had lots of white people come to his gatherings, and they were pilgrimages where we would go to sacred sites. And he invited us to come in. And he was like, you white folks outnumber us 10 to 1. So you better learn this stuff and learn it right, and with respect and non-exploitation and with gratitude, and just with like don't dive in just to worst of all, don't dive in to make a buck. Second of all, don't dive in on a kind of superficial, like I'm cool or something like that. It's not about that. It's about life, and it's about how we're going to go into the future together as the five-fingered ones who all have the same freaking red blood, and we all bleed and we all hurt. And we either go together. This is basically him talking. We either go together with the plants and the animals and the stone beings, the mineral beings, or we're not going. We're not going. And so it's like living into that deeper sense of this is about life. And this native culture that I said we all have when we go far enough back in our ancestry, which was, by the way, told to me by a Mohawk elder. So it's like I didn't just like make that up because it sounded good. He said, this is just going off on a little bit of a tangent, but he said, the reason you need to respect us native people and the reason you need to learn from us is that we're the latest, we're kind of like the last survivors here of what went on for thousands and thousands of years. So it's like we're not only the canary in the coal mine, but we're kind of like, what is it? The thought came like the fossil record. Like we've got an archive of what it means, and this is maybe the most important thing. We've got an archive of what it means to live in balance with the earth and with all of our relations. And just learning from them and then passing it on in a good way is just, it's just, as I see it, it's absolutely, it's absolutely paramount, just absolutely paramount. And the last part of this is the trauma runs really deep, and there was an attempted genocide not only in Turtle Island, but over there in Siberia, where they're a little bit less pushbacky, to use your term, about white people doing this. But nevertheless, yeah, so it's like there's this attempted genocide, there's this deep trauma, and we need, us white folks, and I just want to claim it here, like I'm Jewish on my mom's side. So that's like a whole different beast in itself too, because we know something about genocide in the not too recent past. And so that makes things even more complicated in some ways. But I bring that in because everybody has been traumatized in some way or another, either very recently or in the past. I meant collectively. I guess what I'm driving at, because it's just such a great question, and there's just so many facets to it, is the core thing white people need to do is listen, is to like really listen, and then to do our best to respond and act after we've listened in the most sensitive way. And that, you know, in general, I would say who's ever listening to it is like, we all just need to cut each other some slack because of that trauma. And that we're all doing the best we can, even when we do stupid shit. We don't know any better. And yeah. It's funny, you got me like really on a roll here, and you know, like the bottom line is nobody owns the four directions, and you know, nobody owns the plants, nobody owns the spirit, and what are we gonna do with it, you know? Like, what are we gonna do? Like, how are we gonna walk in a good way? How are we gonna walk in beauty? And you know, I'll bring it back in closing here very personally. Like, the best I can do is just to try to listen to my elders, listen to those who have passed on, do the best I can. The elders, the human elders, and the plant and animals, and we talked about this earlier, the star elders. Listen to what they have to say to the best of my ability, and then kind of pass on what I've learned. And you know what? I'm going to make a shit ton of mistakes because, you know, I've been just super blind for most of my life, and I'm going to make a shit ton of mistakes. But I'm going to keep kind of getting up and doing what I believe is right, because yeah, like, I mean, I don't think it's being overly dramatic. Like, all of life is in the balance that each one of us has a calling to, you know, that they're not going to do what I'm doing. Like, I'm doing my thing, but you do your thing the best you can, and somebody else sings, another person dances, you know, another person does TV shows or whatever. And if each person like does what their own inner compass says and does it to the best of their ability, and we're shining and we're like radiant and our heart is open, and you know, we want to just hug each other and love each other from a sincere place, like, that's the ball game. It just changes everything, you know. And that just gets me saying, like, so I've been fortunate enough. This white privileged man has been all over the world, and the currency is love. The currency is love. That's what we know, you know.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. And just want to keep spreading it and have you spread it and the next person spread it, and we'll just see what happens.
Thanks for your honesty.
I like the tough questions, actually.